let us start with the first natural language processing. As we know, natural language processing, in short, we say as a NLP. Basically, it is a part of computer science, okay, human language and artificial intelligence, and it is the technology that is used by machine to understand, analyze, manipulate, and interpret humans' language. Okay, it helps developers to organize knowledge of performing tasks such as translation, automatic summarization, name entity recognition. Okay, then speech recognition, relationship extraction, and topic segmentation. Okay, so let's see history of NLP, nothing but natural language processing. So in between 1940 to 1960, okay, we like at that time they focused on machine translation. Okay, like the natural language processing started in the year of 1940. Okay, then in 1948 the first recognizable NLP application was introduced in Birkbeck College, London. Then in 1950 there was a conflicting view between linguistic and computer science. Then the Chomsky, okay, I don't know I pronounced this word right or wrong, okay, developed his first book Synthetic Structures and claimed that language is generative in nature. And in 1957 the same person also introduced the idea of generative grammar, which is rule based description of synthetic, okay, okay, sorry, syntactic structures. Okay, I'm and then in between 1960 to 1980s, okay, we flavored with artificial intelligence, like in like and we like the key developments at that time was augmented translation networks. Okay, and it is a finite state machine that is capable of recognition regular languages. Then case grammar, okay, at that time they developed like case grammar developed by linguist Charles, okay, in the year 1968. Case grammar uses languages such as English to express the relationship between nouns and verbs by using the preposition. In case grammar, case roles can be defined to link certain kinds of verbs and objects. For example, Neha broke the mirror with hammer. In this example, case grammar identify Neha is an agent. Okay, mirror as a theme and hammer as an instrument. Okay, so in the like in the same time period, key systems were the Shardu and Lunar. Okay, the first one is a program written by Terry Winograd in between 1968 to around 1970. It helps user to communicate with the computer and moving objects. It can handle instructions such as pick up the green ball and also answer the questions like what is inside the black box. The main importance of this is that it shows those syntax, semantics, and reasoning about the word that can be combined to produce a system that understand a natural language. And the second one is Lunar. Okay, Lunar is the classic example of natural language database. It's a database interface system that is used ATNs and Woods procedural semantics. It was capable of translating elaborate new natural language expressions into database queries and handle 78% of requests without errors. Okay, and after 1980, okay, natural language processing system were based on complex set of handwritten rules. Okay, and then NLP introduced machine learning algorithms for language processing after 1980s. So in the beginning of the year 1990s, NLP started growing faster and achieved good process accuracy, especially in English grammar. Okay, because at that time scientists worked with only English language. Okay, so in 1990s, okay, on electronic text introduced, which provided a good resource for training and examining natural language programs. Other factors may include the availability of computers with fast CPUs and more memory. The major factor behind the advancement of natural language processing was the internet. Now, modern NLP consists of various applications like speech recognition, machine translation, and machine text reading. Okay. When we combine all these applications, then it allows the artificial intelligence to gain knowledge of the word. Okay, so then we got Amazon Alexa, okay, and Siri, like those. Let's see advantages of natural language processing. It helps users to ask questions about any subject and get a direct response within seconds. Then NLP offers exact answers to the question, means it does not offer unnecessary and unwanted information. NLP helps computers to communicate with humans in their languages, and it is very time efficient. Most of the companies use NLP to provide the efficiency of documentation process, accuracy of documentation, and identify the information from large databases. Okay. Let's see some disadvantages of NLP. We have a quite long list. Okay. NLP may not show context. Okay. And NLP is unpredictable. NLP may require more keystrokers, keystrokes, and NLP is unable to adapt to the new domain and it has a limited function. That's why NLP is built for a single and specific task only. Okay, let's see some components of natural language processing. So basically there are two components of natural language processing. Okay, first one is natural language understanding. It helps the machine to understand and analyze human language by extracting the metadata from content such as concepts, entities, keywords, emotion, relations, and semantic roles. This natural language understanding mainly used in business applications to understand the customer's problem in both spoken and written language. So it is used to map the given input. Okay, and it is used to analyze different aspects of the language. And if we see the natural language generation, so it acts as a translator, okay, that converts the computerized data into natural language representation. It mainly involves in planning, sentence planning, and text realization. Okay, and here NLU is difficult than NLG. Okay, so let's see some differences between natural language understanding and natural language generation. So basically NLU is the process of reading and interpreting language, okay, but NLG is the process of writing or generating language. NLU produces non-linguistic outputs from natural language inputs, and on the other hand, NLG produces constructing natural language outputs from non-linguistic inputs. Okay. So if we see the applications of NLP, so first and very common application is nothing but question and answering. Question answering focuses on building systems that automatically answer the questions asked by humans in a natural language, like Amazon's Alexa and uh, Apple Siri and Cortana. It's a personal assistant by Microsoft. Okay. Then spam detection. We all know in email how email detects the spam emails and non-spam emails. Okay. Then sentiment analysis, and analysis is also known as opinion mining. Okay, it is used on web to analyze the attitude, behavior and emotional state of the sender. This application is implemented through a combination of NLP and statistics by assigning the values to the text, identify the mood of the context, like happy, sad, angry. Okay. Then machine translation. As we know, uh, we have a one application of machine translation is nothing but Google Translate. Okay, with the help of Google Translate, we can able to just transform the words or sentences. Okay, from one sentence to like from one language to another language, or even we can just by just speaking the sentence we just transform we just convert that sentence into the words or text. Then another example is nothing but the spelling correction. Okay, when we work with Microsoft Word or PowerPoint, okay, so if we just wrongly type the word, so at that time it just recommend to just change that word. Okay, by just right clicking that on that word. Okay, so it will convert the with the right word. Okay. Then speech recognition is used for converting spoken words into text. Okay, it is used in applications such as mobile home automation, video recovery, dictating to Microsoft Word, voice biometrics, voice user interface, and so on. Okay, and in simple words, on the Google search engine, we can use the speech recognition application of natural language processing for just getting the right query. Okay, then chatbot. Implementing the chatbot is one of the important application of natural language processing, and it is used by many companies to provide the customers chat services. Like if you see multiple companies, if you just go on that particular website platform, okay, so at that time you on the like uh, on the lower right section you will see some chatbots. Okay. Then information extraction. It is the one of the most important application of NLP. We use for extracting structured information from unstructured or semi-structured machine readable documents. Okay. Then natural language understanding. So it converts a large set of text into more formal representations, such as first order logic structures that are easier for the computer programs to manipulate notations of the natural language processing. Okay, so then let's see how to build an machine learning, sorry, natural language processing pipeline. Okay, with the following steps we can able to build a natural NLP pipeline. So with the first step, which is a sentence segmentation. Okay, so basically in the sentence segmentation, okay, it breaks the paragraph into sentences, okay, into separate sentences. Let's see here. Okay, suppose we have this big paragraph. Okay, let me read this paragraph. Independence Day is one of the important festival for every Indian citizen. It is celebrated on the 15th of August each year ever since India got independence from the British rule. The day celebrates independence in the true sense. So here you will see that after using sentence segmentation, okay, we broke the paragraph into multiple sentences. Okay, like first one is nothing but the Independence Day is one of the important festival for every Indian citizen. Then second sentence is nothing but it is celebrated on the 15th of August each year ever since India got independence from the British rule. And the third sentence is nothing but the this day celebrates independence in the true sense. Okay, this is how we use sentence segmentation. Okay, then in the step 2, okay, this is nothing but a tokenization. Okay, we all know how tokenization works. Okay, simply if we have a one sentence or one paragraph even, so at that time with the help of tokenization, we can simply convert the sentence into the bag of words. Okay, we just separate the words. Okay, with the help of spaces. Okay, white spaces. So here you will see that this is how we use tokenization to convert a sentence into the different number of words. Okay, then in the step 3 we do stemming. Okay, now after tokenization we got bag of words. Okay, so in that bag of words sometimes we got the words like celebrates, celebrated, celebrating. Okay, so with the help of stemming we can just convert these all three words by celebrate word. Okay, likewise here you will see that the another word intelligence, intelligent, and intelligently. Okay, so base word of these three words is not this intelligent. Okay, this is the main drawback of stemming. Okay, so for this purpose, okay, we are using the lemmatization. Okay, lemmatization just do just convert the word, okay, into the real root word. Okay, this is the real root word of these different words. Okay, so we can simply say that lemmatization is more powerful than stemming. Okay, or in some cases instead of using stemming we can simply use lemmatization. Okay, then after that we are trying to identify stop words. Okay, now we have different so many types of stop words or a number of stop words like that. is one stop words and the a. Okay, these are nothing but the stop words. Okay, so by identifying the stop words, then we can able to remove the stop words because these are not important. Okay, these stop words are not important. Okay, means we are just cleaning our text data. Okay, so after removing the stop word, then we can able to do a further analysis, okay, in a very clear manner. Okay, then in the step 6, okay, dependency parsing. Okay, we used to find that how all the words in the sentence are related to each other. And in the POS tags means parts of speech tag, okay, which includes noun, verb, adverb and adjective. Okay, it indicates that how a word functions with its meaning as well as grammatically within the sentences. A word has one or more parts of speech based on the context in which it is used. Okay, like for example, Google something on the internet. Okay, so basically here you will see that after by the simply telling this sentence, so in this example, okay, Google is a verb. Okay, although it is a proper noun. Got it? Then in the step 8, named entity recognition, which is nothing but a NER. Okay, it is the process of detecting the named entities such as person name, movie name, or maybe product name or organization name or the location. Okay, like in the example, Steve Jobs introduced iPhone at the Macworld conference in San Francisco, California. Okay, so here we are just detecting a name entity, which is a Steve Jobs. Okay, and in the last step, which is nothing but chunking, okay, we use this okay, we use this chunking to collect the individual pieces of information and grouping them into bigger pieces of sentences. Okay, now let's see phases of natural language processing. Okay, so basically there are 5 phases of natural language processing, and here in the first phases, in the first phase, okay, lexical analysis, and it is nothing but a morphological. Okay, the first phase is lexical analysis. Okay, so this phase scans the source code as a stream of characters and converts it into meaningful lexemes. Okay, it divides the whole text into paragraphs, sentences and words. Okay, then in the second phase, okay, okay, syntactic analysis, which is nothing but a parsing. Okay, so syntactic analysis is used to check grammars, word arrangements and shows the relationship among the words. For example, Agra goes to the Punam. Okay, so in the real world, Agra goes to the Punam does not make any sense. Okay, isn't it? So this sentence is rejected by the syntactic analyzer. Got it? In the next phase, semantic analysis. Okay, semantic analysis is concerned with the meaning representation. It mainly focuses on the literal meaning of words, phrases and sentences. Okay, then in the next phase, okay, discourse integration. This depends upon the sentences that proceeds it and also invokes the meaning of the sentences that follow it. Okay, and in the last phase, pragmatic analysis. Okay, so pragmatic is the last one. So it helps you to discover the intended effect by applying a set of rules that characterize cooperating dialogues. For example, open the door is interpreted as a request instead of an order. Got it? Then why NLP is difficult? Okay, because ambiguity and uncertainty exist in the any language. Okay, so if we see the lexical ambiguity, okay, so lexical ambiguity exists in the presence of two or more possible meanings of the sentence within a single word. Okay, for example, Manya is looking for a match. So here the word match refers to that either Manya is looking for a partner or Manya is looking for a match, means a cricket match or other any other match. Okay, then syntactic ambiguity. So syntactic ambiguity exists in the presence of two or more possible meanings within the sentence. Okay, for example, I saw the girl with the binocular. Okay, so here in this example, did I have the binoculars or did the girl have the binoculars? Okay, so it is bit confusing one. Okay, and then referential ambiguity. So this exists when you are referring to something using the pronoun. Okay, for example, Kiran went to Sunita. She said, I am hungry. So in this sentence, we do not know that who is hungry. Okay, either Kiran or Sunita. Okay, so then let's see NLP APIs. Okay, so here NLP means natural language processing APIs allow developers to integrate human to machine communications and complete several useful tasks such as speech recognition, chatbots, spelling correction, sentiment analysis, and much more. Okay, so let's start with first IBM Watson API. Okay, IBM Watson API combines different sophisticated machine learning techniques to enable developers to classify text into various custom categories. Okay, it supports multiple languages such as English, French, Spanish, German, and much more. Okay, so with the help of IBM Watson API, we can easily extract insights from the text. Okay, add automation in workflows, enhance search, and understand the sentiment. Okay. The main advantage of this API is that it is very easy to use. Okay, but it is a paid API. Okay, and firstly it offers a free 30 days of trial. Okay, with IBM cloud account. Okay, then you have to paid for that. Okay, if you want to use after the 30 days. Okay, then chatbot API. Okay, chatbot API allows you to create intelligent chatbots for any service. It supports Unicode characters, classifies text, multi-language, okay, etc. It is very easy to use. Okay, it helps you to create a chatbot for your web application. Okay, and it is also paid one. Okay, then speech to text API. So speech to text API is used to convert speech to text simply. Okay, these all we APIs are paid, are the paid one. Okay, then sentiment analysis API. So sentiment analysis API is also called as opinion mining, which is used to identify the tone of a user. Okay, means the person is talking in the positive tone or in negative or in neutral tone. Okay, then translation by Sistran. Okay, the translation API by Sistran is used to translate the text from the source language to the target language. You can use it NLP APIs for language detection, text segmentation, name entity recognition, tokenization, and many others tasks. Okay, then text analysis API by Alien. Okay, text analysis API by Alien is used to derive meaning and insights from the textual context. It is available for both free as well as paid. Okay, okay. Then Cloud NLP API. The Cloud NLP API is used to improve the capabilities of the application using natural language processing technology. It allows you to carry various natural language processing functions like semantic, sentiment analysis, and language detection. And it is very easy to use. Okay. And basically, this Cloud NLP API is a free API. Okay. And then Google Cloud Natural Language API. Okay, this allows you to extract beneficial insights from unstructured text. Okay, this API allows you to perform entity recognition, sentiment analysis, content classification, and syntax analysis in more than 700 predefined categories. Okay, it is also used to perform text analysis in multiple languages such as English, French, Chinese, and German. Okay, and this is a paid one. Then let's see some important libraries for natural language processing. First one is nothing but the scikit-learn. Yesterday we already learned about this scikit-learn library we are using for building a models of machine learning. Okay, so in the same manner we are using this library, scikit-learn library, in natural language processing for building the machine learning model. Okay, NLP is nothing but, here in the NLP we are dealing with text data. Okay, so like as we dealing with number data, sorry, number data, and as we dealing with like some string data, okay, or mixed data types. So here in the same way, with the help of scikit-learn we can able to deal with text data also. Okay, then natural language toolkit. Okay, it is a complete toolkit for all natural language techniques. Okay, we are using this NLTK library, okay, for each and every step of natural language project. Okay, then pattern. Okay, it is a web mining module for NLP and machine learning. Then text blob. Okay, it provides an easy interface to learn basic NLP tasks like sentiment analysis, noun phrase extraction, or POS tagging. Okay, means parts of speech tagging. Then QP. Okay, this is QPI is used to transform natural language questions into queries in a database query language. Okay, then Spacy. Okay, it is an open source NLP library which is used for data extraction, data analysis, sentiment analysis, and text summarization. And lastly, gensim. Gensim works with large data sets and processes data streams. Okay, now let's see the difference between natural language and computer language. So basically, n- natural language has a very large vocabulary. Okay, but computer language has a very limited vocabulary. Okay, then natural language is easily understood by humans. Okay, and computer language is easily understood by machines. Okay, so this is the basic difference. Then natural language is ambiguous in nature and computer language is an unambiguous. Okay, so this is a very short introduction about natural language processing. Okay, and in natural language processing we have many more different types. Okay, as we go in depth. Okay, like if we learn advanced natural language processing, then we will see the how we convert text data into the numeric data like 0 1 format using the TF-IDF matrix. Okay, then how we use the different modules. Okay, like what is work word to vec. Okay, like how we are converting word to vec. Okay, means word data into the vector data. Okay, like we have so many different advanced NLP terms. Okay, so now we'll do one thing. We'll just see the a very popular application which is nothing but a spam detection. Okay, email spam detection. So here you will see that. Okay, we have a code with us. Okay, of spam ham detection. Okay, so here you can see that first here this is a spider framework of Python. Okay, and here we are importing the pandas library and numpy library. Okay, and then scikit-learn library, which is nothing but a sklearn library. Okay, then this is the module feature extraction. Again, this is the another module in that module feature extraction module. Okay, and then we are inputting the term called count vectorizer or TF-IDF. Okay, means TF-IDF transformer. Okay, means we are transforming our word data into the number data. Okay, so let's start with that. Okay, so let's first import pandas library. Okay, as a PD. Okay, so here you will see that we just imported the pandas library. Okay, then we import the numpy library. So this is nothing but a okay numpy library, and then we are from sklearn library. Okay, we are using a feature extraction dot text module. Okay, for importing count vectorizer or TF-IDF transformers. Okay, okay, this is taking some time. Okay, after this we'll just load our data set, which is nothing but a spam ham. Okay, in this. Okay, here you will see that this is our data. Okay, so this is our data. Okay, so this is nothing but here we have a data of a type. Okay, the email type. Okay, the first one is nothing but ham which is genuine email, or the here you can see that this one is a spam one. Okay, it's not. Okay, so this is, here you can see that, okay, this one is ham, this one is ham, okay, this one is ham, and this one is spam one. Okay, this is also is spam one. Okay, like we have total 5559 emails. Okay, and we have only two columns. Okay, we have only two columns. First column is the output column, okay, means ham or spam, and second column is the text column, means this is the email. Okay, then let's clean the data, okay, with the help of some programs. Okay, first we'll do one thing, we import a regular expressions, okay, re library. Okay, then we'll do, okay, we'll just read the stop words. Okay, here you can see that. Okay, so these are my stop words: I, me, my, myself, we, our. Okay, these all are nothing but the stop words. Okay, see, after reading the stop words, okay, we'll do one thing. Okay, we'll just converting this stop word. Now this is, here you can see that the size of this stop word is 1. Okay, now we are splitting it into different words. Okay, so after splitting here, now we have 128 stop words. Okay, so see, on the first day, okay, of this boot camp, we use this dot split function. Okay, on the first day, okay, in Python basics. Okay, and same here, we are using this one, okay, to split the stop words. Got it? So now let's assume this one. Okay, suppose this is, I have to clean this sentence. Okay, so here we just define this definition, okay, for cleaning text. Okay, we'll passing this text, okay, into the cleaning test. Okay, and then now here first we'll just converting this all into lower, okay, means lowercase. We are converting any uppercase word or letter into the lowercase. Okay, here now we are removing this. Okay, means 0 to 9 characters. Okay, then here we are splitting the words. Okay, and then we append the words and joined it. Okay, in the one list. So let's run this one. Okay, so after this, here you can see that, okay, suppose we take this sentence, okay, and we split it. Okay, so first let's check that how it looks like. So after splitting this sentence, okay, okay, this looks like, okay, this. Okay, here you can see that. Okay, so this is how we got the output. Now after using this cleaning test function, okay, because here we define the function cleaning text, and after using cleaning text on the same sentence, okay, let's run this. So after running this, here you can see that we remove the stop words. Okay, we remove the is. Okay, then we remove the numbers, again we remove the these symbols. Okay, then these are nothing but the stop words. Okay, and here this is, this is a word which is having no meaning. Okay, so here after using cleaning test, we got only two words. Okay, first one is this and second one is awesome. Okay, like if we use another sentence, okay, so let's run this. Okay, so here you can see that this is how we clean the data, clean the text data. Okay, like let's see another one with some numbers in it. Okay, so here we have some numbers, okay, and some dots. Okay, so then after cleaning we got the final output with only 4 words. Okay, so in the same manner we are cleaning the email data. Okay, we are cleaning this data now. Okay, so let's run this. Okay, so here here now you can see that we just clean the data. Okay, got it. Now here there is no number, okay, in it. There is no unwanted some special characters and all this stuff. Okay, we just remove those things like stopwords and all. Okay, then let's check the shape. Okay, so shape is nothing but the same, okay, as before. Okay, then okay, after using this, okay, we are checking the text, okay, which is not having some, okay, some white spaces. Okay, then we are applying the split into words function here. Okay, by just using the def function we are creating the function this split underscore words. Okay, let's create the function, and now let's use a sklearn library for splitting the data into training and testing. Okay, with the help of model selection module. Got it? So let's run this. Okay, so here you can see that after this let's use this train underscore test underscore split method to split our email data with test size. Means we want the data of test only 30% of the original data. Okay, 30% of the original data, and remaining 70% of the data is in the training set. Okay, is in the training set. So let's run this. Okay, and now here you can see that we just converted, or we just splitted the original data, okay, into the train and test set. Okay, now we use the count vectorizer, okay, for converting the word, okay, into the matrix format. Okay, so after this we just, okay, convert this data. Okay, then here let's transform the our text data, means our email data. Okay, so we just transform our email data. Okay, so after transforming the data, okay, here you can see the shape now. Okay, first we have only 2 columns. Okay, now we have 6661 columns. Okay, because we split the email into bag of words, means different words. Okay, like we already split here the sentences into the words. Okay, like here. Okay, so this is how we just split our data. Okay, now we just use the same code, okay, on a train data set as well as on test data set. Okay, so let's run it. Okay, so this is the shape of the train data. Okay, this is the shape of the trained data, and this is the shape of the text data. Okay, after using transform function. Okay, so here now, as we discussed yesterday, we are using Naive Bayes algorithm for text classification, because here we are in this Naive Bayes algorithm or classifier, we are using a Bayes probability theorem. Okay, so that's why we'll just able to perform this classifier, or we can able to find the model of Naive Bayes, okay, in a very short period of time. Okay, so let's first import the model, which is nothing but a multinomial Naive Bayes model and Gaussian Naive Bayes model. Okay, so we are importing two different models of Naive Bayes, okay, using the sklearn library. Okay, then let's just import the model, which is a multinomial Naive Bayes model, okay, as a MB only. Okay, and let's fit the this multinomial Naive Bayes model on our trained data first. Okay, so after fitting this model on the trained data, here you can see that after fitting, just by clicking on the code, okay, here model just fit on the trained data. So you see the speed of Naive Bayes algorithm. Okay, it just done within some milliseconds. Okay, now let's predict. Okay, let's make the prediction for the trained data set. Okay, and let's see the accuracy. So here, so let's run this. So now here we got the accuracy as a 98%. So this is the training accuracy, guys. Okay, means we build the model on the trained data and we check the accuracy how it was. Okay, this is nothing but a 98%, means 98.7 means something around 99%. Okay, now let's import confusion matrix and classification report from the sklearn itself. So you see, guys, in by just using sklearn library, we are capable of doing the whole project of spam ham classification. Okay, so here you can see that we just run this and we just draw the confusion matrix. So this is how confusion matrix looks like. Okay, so in the name itself you see confusion word is there. So like this is a true positive, this is a means this is some, we can say that some this value referred to as a false positive, this value referred to as a false negative, and this value referred to as a true negative. Okay, it depends on the number of classes. Okay, here we are just classifying the data into only two classes, na, spam or ham. So that's why we got the confusion matrix of order 2 cross 2. Okay, okay, means we have total how many total this much of emails in the train. Okay, means 3891 emails. Okay, in the training set. Okay, then total we predicted 300 uh, 3328 emails, okay, correctly. Okay, those are ham one, and we predicted 514 emails correctly, those are spam one. Okay, those are spam one, and this 22 and 27 are nothing but the incorrect classification. Means 27 of uh, 27 are the actually the spam emails, but we predicted as a ham, and here 27 are the ham emails, but we predicted as a spam. Okay, that's why we got these values here. Okay, in the cross, okay, non-diagonal values. Okay, so this is how we can able to make the predictions. Okay, so we just make the prediction on the trained data. So now let's check it for unseen data, or we can say that test data. Okay, so let's predict for the test data. Okay, and let's check the accuracy. So after, okay, here we got the something around 96.9%, which is nothing but in around 97% accuracy for the text test data. Okay, so here this is the confusion matrix. Okay, and this is the classification report. Okay, this is the classification report. In the classification report, here we are we got the precision recall f1 score and support are nothing but the number of observation corresponding to the classes ham or spam. Okay, then this is accuracy, which is nothing but around 97%. Okay, our total in our test data we have total number of emails are 1668 emails. Okay, then here you will see that precision recall f1 score for ham. Okay, and for spam this one. Okay, now why we are using precision recall f1 score, why we are seeing this accuracy and all? Because of after building the model, okay, we need to check the accuracy of the model. Okay, so here accuracy of the model is quite good, but here you will see that here our data is imbalanced. Means for class ham, okay, we have 1000 means 1457 ham emails, and we have spam emails are only 211 spam emails. So you see the difference. So this is nothing but a imbalanced data. Okay, but also we got the accuracy of 97% for this. Okay, okay, we didn't change the, like, we didn't apply any resampling technique. Okay, for just converting the imbalanced data into the balanced data. Okay, and then only we got the accuracy of 97%. Okay, so you see the uh, we can say that the accuracy of naive Bayes. Okay, then you can simply use the TF-IDF matrix. Okay, this is another matrix instead of vector. Okay, vector numeric vectorizer. Okay, then here you can see that by just after transforming the data with the help of TF-IDF matrix. Okay, term frequency inverted document frequency matrix. Okay, so here we just use again Naive Bayes, and we got the accuracy of a 97 and 95% for train and for test respectively. Okay, so this also gives a better accuracy. Okay, but not much as compared to the previous one. Okay, for count vectorizer. Okay, we got the best accuracy for count vectorizer. Okay, so this is how NLP works. Okay, so let us take a short breather for of 5 minutes, and then we'll start with the computer vision part. Okay, okay. So computer vision, which you have almost rarely experienced in any number of ways without even knowing. Okay, so basically, computer vision is a field of the computer science that focuses on replicating parts of the complexity of computer vision system and enabling computers to identify and process objects in images and videos in the same way that humans do. Okay. Until recently, computer vision only worked in limited capacity. Okay. But thanks to advances in artificial intelligence and innovations in deep learning and neural network, the field has been able to take a great leaps in recent years and has been able to surpass humans in some tasks related to detecting and labeling objects. Okay. One of the driving factor behind the growth of computer vision is the amount of data we generate today that is then used to train and make computer vision better. Okay, so this image is just taken by YOLO model. Okay, YOLO model is nothing but you look only once model. Okay. Okay, until uh, okay, until this time period, okay, we got 5 versions of YOLO model. Okay, starting from V1 to V5. Okay, along with a tremendous amount of visual data. Okay, means more than 3 billion images are shared online every day. Okay, that's why we are now capable of doing that much very high quality computer vision. Okay, the computing power required to analyze the data is now accessible as the field of computer vision has grown with new hardware and algorithms. So has the accuracy rates for object identification. Okay, in less than a decade today's system have reached 99% accuracy from 50%, making them more accurate than humans at quickly reacting to visual inputs. Okay, early experiments in computer vision started in 1950s and it was first put the use commercially to distinguish between typed and handwritten text by the 1970s. Okay, today the application for computer vision have grown exponentially. Okay, and by 2022 the computer vision and hardware market is expected to reach 48.6 billion US dollars. Okay, so let's see how does computer vision work. Okay, one of the major open question in both neuroscience and machine learning is how exactly do our brains work. Okay, and how can we approximate that with our own algorithms. Okay, this is reality that there are very few working and comprehensive theories of brain computation. So despite the fact the neural nets are supposed to mimic the way the brain works, nobody is quite sure if that's actually true. Okay, the same paradox holds true for computer vision since we have noticed, okay, on how the brain and eyes process images. It's difficult to say how well the algorithms used in production approximate our own internal mental process. On a certain level of computer vision, it's all about pattern recognition. Okay, so one way to train a computer how to understand visual data is to feed it images, a lots of thousands of and millions of images if possible that have been labeled. Okay, means we are just putting the labeled images. Okay, and then subject those to various software techniques or algorithms that allow the computer to hunt down patterns in all the elements that relate to those labels. Okay, so for example, if you feed a computer a millions of images of cat, okay, so it will subject them all to algorithms that let them analyze the colors in the photo and the shapes, the distances between the shapes where objects border each other, and so on. So that is identifies a profile of what cat means. Okay, when it's finished, the computer will be able to use its experience if fed other unlabeled images to find the ones that are of cats or not. Okay, so let's see the another example. Okay, so here in the grayscale image, okay, this is the buffer one, okay, which stores the image of Abraham Lincoln. Okay, so each pixel's brightness is represented by a single 8-bit number, okay, whose range is from 0 to 255. Okay, whose range is between 0 to 255. So here you can see that this way of storing image data may run counter to your expectation. Okay, since the data certainly appears to be two-dimensional when it is displayed, yet this is the case since computer memory consists simply of an ever interesting linear list of address spaces. Okay, now here you can see that how pixel looks like. Okay, and how we are just converting it into the numbers. Okay, and how we stored into the computer memory. Okay, so here if you see, first we have a grayscale image. Okay, now if we want to convert this image into the RGB image, means colorful image, or red, green, blue image, okay, on that same 0 to 2 to 255 scale. Okay, now here each pixel actually has three values. Okay, instead of here one value, each pixel having a three value in terms of red, green, and blue. Okay, and then it store this value in the computer, okay, as a vector. Okay, so let's see the evolution of computer vision. Okay, so before the advent of deep learning, the tasks that computer vision could perform were very limited and uh, required a lot of manual coding and effort by developers and human operators. Okay. For instance, if you wanted to perform facial recognition, you would have to perform the following steps, okay, in the past. Okay, like first creating a database. Okay, so at that time you had to capture individual images of all the subjects. Okay, you wanted to track in a specific format. Okay, for that you need to create a database, then annotate images. So then for every individual image you would have to enter several key data points such as distance between the eyes, width of nose bridge, then distance between upper lip and nose, and dozens of other measurements that define the unique characteristics of each person. Okay, and lastly you need to capture new images also. Okay, okay, whether from photo, photographs or video content, and then you had to go through the measurements process again. Okay, marking the key points on the image, and you also had to factor in the angle of image was taken. Okay, so after all this manual work, the application would finally be able to compare the measurements in the new image with the ones stored in its database and tell you whether it corresponded with any of the profiles it was tracking. So in fact, there was a very little automation involved, and most of the work was being done manually. Okay, so the error margin was still large. So with the help of machine learning and deep learning, so basically machine learning provided a different approach to solving computer vision problems. With machine learning, developers no longer needed to manually code every single rule into their vision applications. Instead, they programmed features, smaller applications that could detect specific patterns in images. They then uses statistical learning algorithms such as linear regression or maybe logistic regression, decision tree, or even support vector machine to detect patterns and classify images and detect objects in them. Okay, so machine learning helped solve many problems that were historically challenging for classical software development tools and approaches. So for instance, years ago, machine learning engineers were able to create a software that could predict breast cancer survival windows better than human experts. Okay. However, building the features of the software required the efforts of dozens of engineers and breast cancer experts and took a lot of time to develop. Okay. And deep learning provided a fundamentally different approach to doing machine learning. Deep learning relies on neural network, so a general purpose function that can solve any problem representable through examples. When you provide a neural network with many labeled examples of a specific kind of data, it will be able to extract common patterns between those examples and transform it into a mathematical equation that will help classify future pieces of information. For instance, creating a facial recognition application with deep learning only requires you to develop or choose a pro-constructed algorithm and train it with examples of the faces of the people it must detect. Okay, so the neural network will be able to detect faces without further instruction on features or measurements, because deep learning is a very effective method to do a computer vision part. In most cases, creating a good deep learning algorithm comes down to gathering a large amount of labeled training data and turning the parameters such as the type and the number of layers of neural networks and training epochs. Okay, compared to previous types of machine learning, deep learning is both easier and faster to develop and also for deployment. Okay, so most of the current computer vision applications such as cancer detection, self-driving cars, and facial recognition make use of deep learning. Okay, deep learning and deep neural networks have moved from the conceptual realm into practical application thanks to the availability and advances in hardware and cloud computing resources. Okay, so now let's see some applications of computer vision. So here, as we know that computer vision is one of the areas in machine learning where core concepts are already being integrated into major products, okay, that's we use every day. Okay, so if we see the self-driving cars, okay, so computer vision enables self-driving cars to make sense of their surroundings. Okay, Cameras capture video from different angles around the car and feed it to computer vision software, which then processes the images in real time to find the extremities of roads, read traffic signs, detect other cars, objects, and pedestrian. Okay, pedestrians. The self-driving car then can then steer its way on streets and highways, avoid hitting obstacles, and safely drive it passengers to their destination. A good example is nothing but Tesla. Okay, then uh, the another example of computer vision is nothing but facial recognition. Okay, so here also in this facial recognition applications, computer vision plays an important role. Okay, the technology that enables computers to match images of people's faces to their identities. Computer vision algorithm detect facial features in images and compare them with databases of face profiles. Consumer devices use facial recognition to auth- authenticate the identities of their owners. Social media apps use facial recognition to detect and tag users. Okay. Law enforcement agencies also rely on facial recognition technology to identify criminals in video feeds. Okay. Now let's see the computer application of computer vision. Okay, in the field of augmented reality and mixed reality. So basically here also computer vision plays an important role. Okay, the technology that enables computing devices such as smartphones, tablets, and smart glasses to overlay and embedded virtual objects on real world imaginary. Okay, using computer vision, okay, augmented reality gear detect objects in real world in order to determine the locations on a device display to place a virtual object. For instance, computer vision algorithms can help augmented reality application for detecting plans such as tabletops, walls, and floors. Okay, a very important part of establishing depth and dimensions and placing virtual objects in physical world. Okay, so now let's see the another application of computer vision is nothing but healthcare. So here, with the help of computer vision, okay, healthcare was so improved. Okay, so computer vision algorithms can help automate tasks such as detecting cancerous moles in skin images or finding symptoms in x-ray and MRI scans. Okay, so now let's see some challenges of computer vision. Okay, like uh, first we just start with like for classifying the image. Okay, means this image is contains a cat or not. Okay, then we just upgrade the algorithm. Okay, by just classifying the image plus just mentioning their location. Okay, and then we just converting our algorithm, okay, as a or upgrading the algorithm as a object detection. Okay, and then instance segmentation. Okay, like this, the last one. Then here if you see the challenges of computer vision. Okay, so first one is nothing but the object classification. Okay, means what broad category of object is in this photograph. Okay, like suppose we have a one photograph, and in this photograph, suppose we have this photograph is a wedding photograph. So we have to check what are the different categories of objects, okay, in this, in that particular photograph. Then second is nothing but the object identification. Okay, so suppose we have one photograph, and which type of a given object, okay, is in this particular photograph. Then object verification means is the object in the photograph or not. Okay, then object detection. Okay, where are the objects in the photograph. Okay, then object landmark detection, what are the key points for the object in the photographs. Then object segmentation, what pixels belong to the object in the image. And then object recognition, what objects are in this photograph and where are they. Okay, like this. Okay, outside of just recognition, okay, other methods of analysis in computer vision include video motion analysis. Okay, it uses computer vision to estimate the velocity of objects in a video or the camera itself. And in image segmentation, okay, the algorithm partition images into multiple set of scene. Okay, so in this case, okay, it creates a 3D model of a scene imputed through images or videos. Okay, then image restoration. Okay, noise such as blurring image is removed from photo. Here in the last, we can simply say that any application that involves understanding pixel through software can be labeled as a computer vision. Okay, so now let's see the small coding part of computer vision. Okay, so this is the this is basically a one library called MediaPipe. Okay, and here you can see that this is a very popular library. Okay, because it gives a output in a very short period of time. Okay, now let me show you this. Okay, first with the I already installed MediaPipe library, okay, in my system. So if we use this, okay, exclamation mark, okay, it's check where it is installed or not in our system. Okay, but let me start with the second one. Okay, I'll share this code with you as well. Okay, so first here we are using the MediaPipe library, then OpenCV library, then NumPy, then UUD, and operating system means OS. Let's run this. Okay, so with MediaPipe, okay, we are just importing, drawing, utils, okay, and hands. So let's run this one, and here you will see that the numbers, okay, for each and every part of your hand, okay. So this is the number starting from here, starting from wrist, okay, and then we can go with uh, the final one, okay, to the tip one, okay. So this is how you can just find the angles, or we can say that the shape of your hand, okay. So here this is nothing but a face detection using MediaPip. So this is a very small line of code basically for creating a face detection model. We need to draw like we need to collect a lot of data, and then we have to do like all this analysis stuff. But with the help of this MediaPip, okay, it easily with some this short amount of code, this will just detect the face, okay. So by just running this code, okay, this cell here, you will see that, okay. Let us run this, okay. So here you can see that, yeah. So now you can see this, okay. This is how we detect the face with the help of MediaPip, okay. So you can see that we can like how easily we can detect the face, okay, with some points, okay, on our face, got it. So this is a very good we can say that application of face detection, okay, with this very few line of codes, okay, very few line of code. So if we run this another one, okay, which is a face mesh, okay. So here you can see that with face mesh, okay, if we run this, actually it is taking time for running, okay. Here you can see that in the square bracket you will see the star symbol. First we need to, now this is a face mesh, okay. So here you can see that how fastly it can just extract the points on our face, okay, with the angle, okay, with the angle, got it. Let's stop this code, okay. Then let's see the hand detection, okay, the motion detection of our hands. Actually, we are just running multiple code, so that's why it is taking some time. Okay, will be on here. So now here you can see that. Okay, this is a hand detection. Okay, see. Okay, so basically this is how we just do these things. Okay, so let's stop it. Okay, likewise you can just go with open post and the other code with. Okay.